this ministry, but of course we have a lot more to do today, don't we?
We do. More work to be done, but thank you to all who have been tuning in and giving and just participating with us this week, even by prayer. We feel those prayers, and thank you, thank you, thank you. It's Truth Team Week 360, Kerby. What does that mean exactly?
Yes, 360. First of all, 360 is the fact that you got 360 degrees on a compass.
Okay.
And in just a few minutes, when we talk with Robert and I, we're going to recognize that a lot of things are about 180 degrees out of kilter.
That's right.
We don't have truth, we have non-truth. But 360 stands for something else, and that is we're looking for those of you that would partner with us. And that is for as little as $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 a year.
That's the way it works out.
You can be a beneficiary of not only supporting this ministry, but receiving this MP3 Bible stick that you have been talking about.
I've got to talk about this.
Here we go.
This is the coolest premium gift that we've ever given to anybody. Here's what it is. It is a Bible stick. It's an MP3 miniature player. It's not just like a thumb drive. It's actually a player. It's like a little radio, but it's preloaded with the New Testament from Matthew to Revelation, the ESV version, English Standard Version. It's got music, sound effects. It's got dozens of voices because it's fully dramatized. So easy to listen to, an incredible thank you gift. And we're giving this to you as a thank you if you join at the 360 a year or more level and become a member of the Truth Team.
Well, again, it's our welcome gift, and it's done by our good friends Faith Comes by Hearing. We've talked about that before in terms of some of the ministry they've had in the military, and this is one that you can have for yourself, or maybe you know a young person that spends a lot of time with these earbuds in their ears. Why don't you have them listen to God's Word instead of some of the other things they're listening to? And so this would be a great graduation gift. Of course, I think as you get one, you're going to say, can I get two of these? Because these are really a lot of fun.
They are.
So we are making available that to you today. And don't forget that if you have not already pledged, we encourage you to do so. The pledge line now is open. We have a number of people standing by, 1-800-347-5151. And in addition to giving at $1 a day, $30 a month, some of you might say, well, I could probably do a little bit more. And so we figured out, Brad, that if you sponsor just a minute a month on Point of View, it's about $65. And for that, then you could either choose, of course, the Bible stick or this Tumblr journal set, and we've been holding that up. And for those of you online, you can see it right now, or you can go to the website and learn a little bit more about that, a place where you can put your coffee or tea journal.
It's a nice gift.
People just love that.
Yes.
But if some people say, well, I'd like to get both. Well, for your gift of $100 a month, you actually can have both of those. So there are just all sorts of ways in which we are saying welcome to Truth Team 360, and we're looking for more people to get on the team, aren't we?
Here's the phone number that you can participate in right now to join the team, 1-800-347-5151. It's a toll-free number for you, 800-347-5151. We're looking for 6 of you right now in leadership that are going to take the front of the line and give us a call right now. And now I'm going to do this right now. I was just notified not that long ago, this day, that we have a unusual match challenge given to us for today.
We've had a couple of those in the past.
Yeah, but this one's going to be a little different.
Okay.
It's actually a $4,000 match, but we have to try to get it cleared up this hour. As soon as it's cleared up, as soon as we've matched it dollar for dollar with your gifts that you call in, another $4,000 follows on. So we could have a net total to the ministry at the end of today, $8,000 added to our total.
So it's a 4x4, right?
Yeah, but exactly. But here's the thing. That money is outside our total. We don't get to put it in our total and use it and have it available until you match it. So the matching is extremely important today because we want to get this 4 cleared up in order to get the next 4 on the table.
That's
so we get 4,000 now, 4,000 coming up after that. That's the way it's structured. And now that means here, we haven't talked a lot about this. You might be able to have the capacity that where $1,000 gift is very doable for you. You know, your business is doing well, inheritance. You can just do this. And you could give $1,000. It'd become $2,000 right now.
That's amazing.
If you gave $2,000, it becomes $4,000. I mean, there's no limit to this really, except for the 8,000 total for today. So don't be bashful.
Yes.
Go to the phones right now with your very best gift. Now, maybe you can do $100. The 100 becomes 200. You know, a $50 a month becomes $100 a month. I mean, the monthly gifts get doubled too. 800-347-5151. I mean, we ought to be blowing the phones up right now. And we've got a couple people on the line, but there's lots of open lines for you. We've added some lines today, by the way.
Yes.
So you won't get a busy signal as often, we hope, at all. 800-347-5151. Do you love Point of View? Have you enjoyed the program? Have you ever given? The vast majority, Kerby, of all the people listening right now and the next hour, the next hour, the next hour, have never given a gift to the ministry. If that's you, could I just stop for a moment and ask, would you be willing and available to be used of the Lord financially? Step alongside of us. I can make you a guarantee. You'll never hear Point of View quite the same again once you're a financial investor in the ministry. It'll change the way you listen to the program. So give us a call. 800-347-5151. Let
me give you an overview of what's going to happen today. In just a few minutes, we're going to be talking with Robert Knight. Of course, he's a senior fellow for the American Civil Rights Union, and he actually, at the outset of his career, was a reporter with the Los Angeles Times. And so he's seen the secular world, he's seen the Christian world. He's certainly worked with the Family Research Council, Coral Ridge Ministries, Concerned Women for America, and others. And we're going to be talking about truth and untruth with a new column that he has posted. And so you really want to call in now because you want to, of course, hear him.
Right.
And then in the second hour, Rebecca Hagelin is going to be with us. And of course, she is somebody that actually grew up listening to Point of View, became the vice president of Heritage Foundation. She has an article today in the Washington Times. She has a book coming out tomorrow. So we're going to be talking about all those things, about protecting your family. But let me just challenge you right now to give. I noticed what happened yesterday when we had Tim Wildman on talking about Target and the boycott and all of the rest. Everybody wanted to listen to that. Nobody gave us a call. So let's, if I can, challenge you right now. We have that $4,000 first part of that match.
That's right.
It's a 4x4, so that first 4,000 is on the table. So if you've been waiting and saying, okay, I think this is a pretty good opportunity, and I'd certainly like to see my donations doubled, then again, it is a pledge. You don't have to have all the money in your hand right now, but again, that pledge line number is 1-800-347-5151. I've also noticed, Brad, a fair number of people said, I don't even need to talk to anybody. I can just go online. And as I do so, you'll see this particular banner says, don't allow non-truth to become the norm. You click on it, says, join the truth team. There you can actually see all of the various welcome gifts. You can specify what you'd like to receive, and you can click that button, and you're off and running. So it's really simple.
It's pointofview.net, by the way. That's where you go, is pointofview.net. You can also give us a call. That's another way to do it. 800-347-5151.
When we come back, we're going to be talking with Robert Knight about many things that we think are true. Turns out that they're not. And that's what happens when you repeat error again and again and again. And then we'll spend some time, I'm sure, talking about this issue of transgender. There is one person, perhaps more than anybody we know, who has written on this issue of the homosexual agenda, and it's Robert Knight. So let's take a break, but this is a great time for you to call. Please give us a call right now. We have operators standing by. 800-347-5151, or of course, as we mentioned, pointofview.net. We'll be right back.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
Yesterday, I talked about corporate bullies that have been threatening boycotts in order to get states like Georgia, North Carolina, and Mississippi to veto legislation they believe is discriminatory. Anyone who would take the time to read some of the laws would see that that is not the case. Rarely is any of the bill cited, and often when it is, that section of the bill is taken out of context. So why are these corporations taking time away from producing products or promoting their services to get involved in the political process? Well, the answer is that many in the leadership believe that it is their responsibility to promote social justice. They will continue to bully and boycott because it reflects the progressive social values they embrace. So why do they embrace such liberal values? Well, David French, in a recent article on the progressive corporate culture, explains it this way. He says Apple, Disney, and PayPal fish from the same cultural and academic pond as the elite media and elite universities. He says that when he was at Harvard Law School, these corporations recruited many of these progressive-minded classmates. So how should we as Christians respond? Many of my listeners have talked about boycotts. That probably won't be too successful when you think about the various products and services involved. David French observes that progressive corporate culture is so pervasive that the consistent conservative boycotter would have to retreat from modernity. Sure, it might be possible to stop going to Disney movies and to Disneyland and Disney World. It would be much harder to avoid every smartphone, computer, and operating system. That is why we must take a stand and express our opinions. Progressive bullies cannot win on the merits of the debate. That is why they call people names and call for boycotts. We can win in the war of ideas and need to do so. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
For more information about issues covered on Viewpoints, visit pointofview.net. Pointofview.net. Point of View, Truth Team 360, Dr. Sean McDowell.
We clearly live in difficult times, especially for Christians. Sometimes it feels like the culture is just turning against us quickly. We need to speak up with compassion, but we need to speak up with truth in the way that Jesus did. That's one reason why I'm a big fan of Point of View, is they're dealing with cutting-edge, controversial subjects that the church sometimes doesn't want to deal with. But they do their homework, they do it informed. They also do it in a way that's practical so we understand the issues but know what we can do about them. Ministries like Point of View can only survive with the help of listeners. One of the reasons I think Point of View is so valuable is because they just deal with the cutting issues of the day in a manner that's informed, in a manner that's gracious, and in a manner that's making a difference. Point of View is standing up for truth, and they need your help.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Sean McDowell, most of us, Brad,
Yes.
have seen him grow up. Isn't that
We have.
amazing?
It's
Dr. Sean McDowell. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. It makes me feel old.
Yeah.
Hey, it was mentioned that I went really fast last break talking about the Bible stick. And this is a free gift for anybody who gives at $360 a year or more. That's $1 a day. So $1 a day or more for a year, and this Bible stick is yours. It fits in the palm of your hand. It is the Bible, the entire New Testament, word for word, from Matthew to Revelation in the ESV version. Dramatized, music, sound effects, easy to listen to. Comes with the earbuds, with the battery. It's completely ready to go. A beautiful graduation gift as well. So I wanted to mention that. 800-347-5151.
Truth Team Week, and we are privileged to bring to the microphone now Robert Knight. He is the Senior Fellow for the American Civil Rights Union, but Brad, as I was sharing just a minute ago before we went to the break, for many years actually was an editor and writer for the Los Angeles Times, and then since then has worked with Christian media. For example, he's been with the Family Research Council, Concerned Women for America, Heritage Foundation, Media Research Center,
what a
and others.
resume, huh?
And he really understands this issue of truth. And so one of the articles that we have posted here I thought would fit perfectly with our idea of truth and non-truth, and is knocking the meme out of the park. In other words, what happens when something that is error is repeated again and again and again? After a while, non-truth becomes truth. And he uses that by pulling out of a piece that I was reading just earlier this month from Hillsdale College of an individual that was doing research on, of all things, Ty Cobb, who is the baseball individual. But we're going to move from Ty Cobb to just a minute to what happens when non-truth gets repeated too often. And Robert Knight, welcome once again to Point of View.
Hey, great to be back on with you, Kerby.
You know, when I was reading that article that appeared in Imprimis by Hillsdale College, I thought that was kind of interesting. But you're a really sharp person to not only realize that that had an implication to those of us around the table that love baseball, it has a real implication to what we're talking about. Because if you repeat an error enough, people begin to believe it's true, right?
Well, yeah, and that's what the impetus behind the column. I've always been fascinated by Ty Cobb anyway, being a baseball fan. I mean, the guy was unbelievable. He had the highest batting average in history for a long career, 366. He stole home 54 times. He could have hit 400 homers, but he decided not to run the bases. And somebody once asked him, well, you're not as good as Babe Ruth because you don't hit a lot of home runs. He says, oh, really? So he says, watch this. And he stepped up and hit 3 home runs in that game just to show them.
Wow.
You know, he was amazing. But they got this late reputation as a dirty, racist baseball player who sharpened his spikes and slid in to hurt other players and got into brawls and, you know, terrible things. And nobody loved him, and he was hated by everyone. And this was largely the result of a biography that he tried to stop just before his death in 1961. And this guy made up from whole cloth all sorts of incidents. And along comes Charles Learson, a professor at City University of New York, who did more research for a new book of his on Ty Cobb, expecting to add to Ty Cobb's negative reputation. And instead, he found a far different picture of a essentially good man. He was a little on the rough side. He got into brawls like a lot of people in that era. But incidents that were made up were, he supposedly beat up 3 black men. And he went back and looked them all up, and they were all white men. But the guy made them black to make him out to be a racist. Ty Cobb was a big fan of the Negro Leagues. He sat in their dugouts. He threw out the first pitch. In 1952, he argued strongly that the major leagues ought to be integrated and that this was a good thing for everybody. He wasn't what they made him out to be at all.
And the point you make is so we can go on from there, because I encourage people to read this, because those of us that love baseball, and you got a lot of baseball lovers, both on this side of the glass and the other side of the glass, is that this is, if nothing else, illustrative of the way in which the mainstream media lately have misportrayed voter ID laws, or whether it might have been the Tea Party, or whether it was the Planned Parenthood videos, or a variety of other things. That sometimes the biggest problem we have is that if you repeat a lie long enough, people believe it's the truth.
You know, that's almost a direct quote from Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister for the Third Reich, the Nazi regime. He was all about lying, and so repetition makes it happen. And I think you touched on that, Kerby. One of the worst is the Black Lives Matter campaign that featured Michael Brown, who was shot to death by Officer Darren Wilson, who was white. Michael Brown was black. Brown had just held up a convenience store, was walking down the street. He ended up in a tussle with the officer. He left and then came roaring back at him, and he was a real big guy, and he was trying to get Darren Wilson's gun. So Wilson shot him. And these people, false witnesses, said, oh, he said, hands up, don't shoot. And that's become the battle cry for Black Lives Matter. And it turns out forensic evidence shows that he didn't have his hands up. He was in the attack mode. So that was completely made up. And yet you will hear that today at Black Lives Matters rallies, hands up, don't shoot, because it's useful. And it's repeated often enough, people believe it.
You know, as you are speaking about truth and falsehood, it seems to me that our culture has been and is quickly losing our way when it comes to truth. I mean, that's really what we're talking about here, right?
We are. And, you know, we're going to get into the transgender issue later, I guess, in this broadcast.
Oh, yes. Can't pass that up.
Yeah, and it's far deeper than, you know, a few restrooms being visited by men in dresses. This goes to the heart of where our culture is going, and it's becoming a disdain for truth. And it's bad enough when people fool themselves, but when they use official apparatuses, corporate power, government, to force others to tell lies in order not to be persecuted, that's where we're heading. That's why that's such a serious issue.
Let me just mention that if you would like to support this ministry and appreciate the kind of information we give to you so often, especially as we have a chance to talk with Robert Knight on a pretty regular basis. We post many of his columns. Even sometimes when he's not on here, we post a column and talk about him anyway, because he's got such great insight. Please give us a call right now, 800-347-5151. As we said, we have that $4,000 match on the table.
Every dollar you give will be matched dollar for dollar, basically no limit.
And again, we're encouraging you to be part of the Truth Team 360. $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 a year. 360 becomes 720,
That's right.
right?
That's right. Just like that.
I would encourage you. We have individuals right now waiting to take your phone call as we talk with Robert Knight. And Robert, we will get into this issue of transgender because, again, one of the things that you write about so often is the gay agenda. And I think our listeners probably have learned more from you than anybody else about the gay activists and what is being actually trying to change the culture, our views of marriage, our views of sexuality, and the rest. And I know so often you have appreciated the fact that we provide you a forum here on Point of View to really take the ideas you write about and expand those to our listening audience.
Yeah, and I hope you guys get the support you deserve, because I think a Point of View is the great corrective. Having been in the media for 15 years and been on the other side of the microphone since then, we've got a real problem with a media that will not tell the truth about important issues facing us. Often they sin by omission, by leaving out the truth. And you can only get it when you listen to programs like Point of View, where you have people who have become educated on issues and are willing to speak out on these issues. And a lot of those are the voices that the mainstream media will not listen to anymore or allow any space for. So Point of View is a very powerful corrective and part of the great alternative media that millions of Americans are turning to because they want to hear unvarnished truth.
That's right.
They don't want that liberal spin on everything.
And you can be a part of that team right now, my friend, as you listen to these programs. This program is perfect. It's right up our alley of what our theme is of Truth Team Week. And you can join the team right now with a gift of any amount will be so appreciated. 1-800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. Join the Truth Team. That's $1 a day. That's it. $1 a day, you're in and on the team. But if you want to give it a different level, you might want to do that $1,000. Whatever. It'll all be matched dollar for dollar.
1-800-347-5151. Of course, the website is pointofview.net. Going to talk about this issue, transgender and human rights and homosexual rights, right after these messages.
This is an incredibly important week for Point of View. We need to build our war chest to get us through the election season. This week, we need you to step up and join the team. Just as a political campaign cannot get its message out without donor support, Point of View must have friends like you as we head into the final leg of this presidential race. Imagine Hillary Clinton in the White House. Think of what justices she would nominate to the Supreme Court. The next president is likely going to shape our highest court for several decades. And Point of View wants to provide a biblical perspective of all of the issues in this year's campaign. But we cannot do it. We simply can't without you. Please step up now as a monthly partner. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net and choose your level. Stretch a bit or call 1-800-347-5151. Pointofview.net and 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again, is Kerby Anderson.
I've been listening for about 26 years. I just wanted to say that y'all have helped me a lot because you've given opportunity to call our congressman and make phone calls, write letters and all, and I appreciate the website that we can get on and sign petitions and things like that, and I feel like it makes a big difference. I signed up yesterday to be a supporter, and I think it's well worth it.
I began listening to Point of View when I was 19 years old. I just can't even begin to tell you how much that this ministry has meant to me, especially now being a father. The values and things that I hear on Point of View and how you shape my worldview and made me passionate.
Political things that are being done to our nation, you just cannot bury your head in the sand and say it doesn't exist and I hope it goes away.
Point of View is actually a lifeline for me. I homeschool my girls, and I don't think I could do what I do without Point of View on a daily basis.
If I hadn't listened to Point of View, I just had no clue how important your show was.
I just like to encourage your listeners that even small givers are important. Consistency is the key.
So again, some comments from some of our listeners, and we'd certainly love to hear from you right now. Again, our Plates line number, 1-800-347-5151. Truth Team 360, it is our Truth Team Week, and we have with us Robert Knight, in studio with us, Brad Fisk, and we do need to hear from some of our listeners now, don't we?
I'm just reminded, listening to those friends of the ministry, and before we get back to Robert, this is real. The culture war is a very real thing. This isn't something we're making up, and we really do need your help. Because we are listener supported. We cannot do this ministry without our friends standing with us. So if you've never given before, especially if you're going to be a brand new giver, won't you please seriously pray and consider and obey what the Lord tells you to do. But boy, consider joining the Truth Team. That's $1 a day or more, and happy with the gifts and happy just to have you be a part of what we do. 800-347-5151.
Robert Knight with us, and again, we have information about him and the American Civil Rights Union. And I might just mention, as we get into some of these moral issues, he's written about age of consent, radical rulers, the truth of marriage, one of the people that drafted the Defense of Marriage Act. And we have depended upon you, Robert, for years to talk about the gay agenda. And what is transpiring right now did not happen by accident, whether it's the pushing of the envelope to redefine marriage, same-sex marriage, or whether now we're having a battle. Who would have ever guessed? A battle over whether or not an individual that perceives himself or herself as the different gender can go into a bathroom other than their one that's supposed to be identified with their biological sex. This didn't happen by accident, did it?
No, and it's not just a few incidents. And this is why it's such a big issue. I think Charles Krauthammer, who is a columnist who I much admire, is actually wrong about this one, because he said that he's not for men getting into women's bathrooms, but he said it's a non-issue. It's just very few incidents like this. He's not seeing the bigger picture, which is this is the culmination of a long-time campaign to criminalize Christianity, to transform biblical sexual morality, or even any healthy sense of sexual complementarity, into a form of bigotry punishable under the law. This is how they've been doing it. They have 3 steps of logic, and Lori Higgins of the Illinois Family Institute has been great in logically deconstructing this. She said, any and all characteristics that define identity are beyond criticism now. You can't judge, so you have to accept anything about anybody. Homosexuality and transgenderism are conditions that define identity, so therefore homosexuality and transgenderism are beyond criticism. And this is regardless of their abundantly documented negative impact on body, soul, family, and community. What they've done is pervert the hard-won rights of the civil rights movement and turned it into a hammer against people who have a healthy, normal view of sexuality, that men and women are different, that God created them different. God created marriage as the place where we're supposed to exercise our sexuality. And what we've known for eons is we're being told now that if we voice it in public, just the plain truth, we will be punished. And there's a long list of people that's growing. Kurt Schilling, Red Sox star pitcher, was just fired from ESPN for saying he didn't think it'd be right for a man looking like a woman to enter a woman's room. Brendan Eich, the founder of Mozilla Firefox, was fired in 2014. What was his crime? Well, he'd given some money to the campaign to put marriage into the California Constitution in 2008. 6 years before, he gave a $1,000 donation, so he gets fired. This is very serious stuff.
It certainly is. Let me, if I can, play just a piece that came off of yesterday. Fox News medical expert Dr. Keith Blow, because he's talking about why so many customers are rising up against Target.
Well, here's the bottom line. The reason that the bathroom bill is center stage in the presidential campaign and now in a national boycott of Target that's up to about 500,000 people is because it represents more than bathrooms. We're not just talking about who's going to use which restroom. We're talking about whether closely held opinion of an individual will be allowed to overcome scientific data and history. Right? So if you believe that you are of one gender, but your DNA and your physical appearance and your physical anatomy are evidence that you are of another gender, and there's that conflict, then if we allow people culturally to dictate terms in our culture, then we also, by extension, may be in a position where we allow people to say that they're 65 when they're 45 and get Medicare. Allow people to get tattooed head to foot and say, I'm a black person. Now, would that be offensive to black people if that person got affirmative action preferences at school? I think it might. Why? Because there's history, there's culture, there's reality. This is the leading edge, some would argue, I might, of an unraveling of our culture and perhaps our ability to plan for the future as a species.
Mm-hmm. Robert Knight, do you think he's correct in his analysis?
I think it's spot on. And one thing I would add is that one of the things I fear most is the damage done to truth itself.
Right.
In the old Soviet Union, there were things that were happening that were very obvious, and one of them was a terrible economy, but people couldn't speak about it, or they'd get punished severely by the state. Now we're in a position in America where even though our eyes tell us, some guy in a dress is still a guy, or that men and women are meant to be together, if you utter this in public, increasingly you're going to be punished. You'll be singled out. It's one thing for people to be able to be free enough to believe in this stuff. It's another to force others to say that they believe it too when they don't. That's tyranny. And here's another little piece of tyranny that a lot of the public doesn't know about because it didn't get highly publicized, and that was the case in New Jersey of Jonah. Jews offering new alternatives for healing. It's an ex-gay group. It's a Jewish group, not Christian. But the Southern Poverty Law Center, using New Jersey's consumer fraud law, dragged them into court, threw 14 lawyers at them and bankrupted them and put them out of business. And a New Jersey judge who was clearly on the side of the homosexual activists who got the Southern Poverty Law Center to do this wouldn't even allow anyone to testify in defense. People who had been aided by the reparative therapy that they'd steered people to. They didn't do any therapy themselves either. They just recommended therapists that could help people overcome unwanted homosexual desires. But it's illegal to do that in New Jersey now. Now, what kind of a free country do we have if you have, say, a son who's been molested in gym class and he's having these unwanted desires and you really need a therapist to help him out, and the state of New Jersey and several others now say, you cannot do that. That's illegal under the law to help him. I mean, people ought to know. That's how crazy it's getting.
Well, again, one of the themes that we talk about is don't allow non-truth to become the norm. And again, Brad, that's why we're encouraging people to support us.
We are indeed. And I say, in response to what you just said, how dare you try to tell me how to define truth when I know what it really is? And how dare you use the force of law to try to upset what I know is true. So if you are kind of ticked off about that, like I am right now, then I would suggest strongly that you give us a call and stand with us financially. 800-347-5151 is the pledge line. Stand with us financially. Join the Truth Team. Join the team at some level of giving. And I know there's several people that could give $1,000 or more right now. So we got a $4,000 match on the table. Every dollar you give right now is doubled. 347-5151.
Robert, I want to thank you for being with us. Again, we have posted some information about you, about the American Civil Rights Union, and, of course, your column on Ty Cobb that appeared in a number of newspapers, including the Washington Times. So thank you for joining us today here on Point of View.
Always a pleasure, Kerby and Brad, and best wishes in your campaign. I hope you raise lots of money for this marvelous program.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're coming to a break, and this is just a great opportunity for you to say, I stand with you. I stand for truth. I don't want to allow non-truth to become the norm.
That's right.
And if you go to the website, pointofview.net, you'll see that's what we have there in our link to Truth Team. But also, we have an individual or two that's still waiting to take your phone call.
We have 5 open lines in the entire phone bank. Please give us a call right now, 800-347-5151. Do you believe in truth?
Yeah.
Then go to the phones and give us a call right now.
We'll be right back.
Point of View, Truth Team 360. Phyllis Schlafly.
Talk radio has become a vital factor in America. It's absolutely essential to winning the battles that we work on, the moral battles, social, legislative, political, and so forth. And Point of View has been a pioneer and played a major role in bringing talk radio to the Christian audience. I think Point of View was one of the first Christian call-in shows out there, and it taught the Christian community how to participate in talk radio. You have wonderful guests. You bring issues to the public, which we don't see on the regular establishment secular media. And I just think point of view has become an important factor in the good changes that have taken place in America.
Point of View. Truth Team 360.
Phyllis Schlafly's been on the program many times over the years. And, well, we're talking about Phyllis Schlafly. Just thought I'd mention just a minute that, of course, we had an election last night. Not too surprising. Donald Trump won in Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island. Will that help in the national election? Probably not. The only one of those states that might be in play for a Republican candidate would be Pennsylvania. On the other side, of course, you have Hillary Clinton move closer to securing her nomination, one in 4 of the 5 states, Bernie Sanders winning in Rhode Island. And I might just mention, Brad, that now we're down to 10 last primaries.
Okay.
One of the most important is next Tuesday, Indiana. We have a lot of listeners in Indiana, by the way.
Yep.
We'll be following that. That's kind of the make or break for whether or not Donald Trump gets the requisite 1237 delegates, or whether or not this becomes a win for, say, Ted Cruz. Maybe he wins again in Nebraska or a few other places. And so it will be something we will continue to watch here on Point of View. Not too surprising last night in terms of those 5 races. Now we have 10 more to go. One of the most important we'll be talking about next week because of the vote that will be taking place in Indiana on Tuesday.
And again, point of view, Kerby, you bring an angle to all of this way different than the general press. And that's one of the reasons why we're asking you to support us right now to help us stand strong, especially as we run up to the general election in November. This is huge. This is gigantic what the impact could be on our country for decades to come.
Not just the presidential election, but we have 34 United States Senate races, 435 races for the House of Representatives, and all sorts of governor's races and all sorts of other things. We have our Point of View pray, organize, and vote material that we've made available and still are making available. We have all the videos. And in a sense, you're supporting a lot more than just a 2-hour radio program.
That's right.
There are all
Way
sorts
more.
of great resources we make available. And as I have said before, membership has its privileges, because if indeed you become one of those Truth Team 360 team members, not only do you receive the Bible stick, as we've mentioned just a minute ago, we also have the Outlook magazine. We have special mailings that we give to you. We have ways in which you can find a lot of great information and, in a sense, are a stakeholder of what Point of View is all about.
That's right. Hey, I want to say thank you to some folks who checked in with us. Thank you with your gifts of support during Truth Team here. Just today, Linda and Jamie and Carol and Anthony and Janice and Nita, and reading down here, I can't read past this. And thank you so much. And listen, they're calling in from Illinois, from Arizona, from Maine, the state of Maine, from Nevada, from another one from Illinois. We got an online gift. Thank you for that. And they're checking in from somewhere. Ohio. Okay, thank you so much for those gifts. And keep them coming, guys. And we've got a $4,000 match on the table right now. So every gift you give right this moment is doubled. It will be matched dollar for dollar. Now, here's the deal. We don't get to put that money in our total till it is matched.
Yeah, so we're still...
So it's kind of like, the way I like to describe it is, there's $4,000 sitting on the table, Kerby.
Yes.
And if I were to say to you, if you want that money, you have to
Just
pick it
grab
up.
it. Yeah.
And then before you leave the room. But if you leave the room without grabbing the money, you lose it. It's gone.
That's it.
So what would you guys do? Would you take the money, or would you leave it on the table?
leave it on the table.
Let's not do that.
Yes.
So please step up strong. We've got open lines right now for you to call at 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. You can also give at pointofview.net.
You know, sometimes we like to talk about what is at stake, and one of those things are the conversation we had just a minute ago with Robert Knight. You know, we played a piece from Dr. Keith Abloh, who is a medical expert, and he also talked about how we got to the place where we even talking about this issue of bathroom bills.
We got to this place because we care about people. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. Okay, I understand that. We're also too politically correct. But look, there's not a lot of scientific evidence that it's better to approach transgender youth with the opposite hormone, because we inject them with massive doses of testosterone if they're female, to say, look, we'll make you more comfortable with your chosen gender. You know, we don't even explore. Should it be more estrogen? Should we go with nature and say, maybe we'll make you more female, you'll feel more comfortable? There aren't these explorations. We don't treat with psychiatric medicines by and large to say maybe this is a bit of a fixed and false belief, not different than if you thought you were a black person when you're Caucasian. The science isn't even there. And so if we have a draft, God forbid, and we're trying to save our nation, are we really prepared for 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds to assert that they're really more like 12-year-olds? They feel it, they're immature, their whole families have said, look, much too immature to be drafted. That's where we're headed. Do we want to head there?
That's what's at stake, isn't it?
Listen, guys, this is ridiculous. This is absolute insanity that we're even talking about this. And, I have daughters, I have granddaughters, and I'm thinking, come on. Where's the protection? Where's chivalry gone to protect the female and take care of them? We're falling down on the job. That's all there is to it. We need to pray. We really need to pray and ask the Lord to make a difference in our culture. And you can also help us stand strong. We are one of the very few voices out there of Point of View talking about this truth. 800-347-5151. Let's translate that to the telephone call that you make of support. 800-347-5151.
Here's what some callers had to say about why Point of View is so important.
I do appreciate Point of View and what you folks are doing. You really are doing a great job to educate your constituency and to help Christian folks do a better job to honor Christ in all that we do.
My husband and I are your supporters. We just really appreciate the show and the people you bring on.
I just appreciate so much you, Kerby. We're fortunate to have you on the air, and you are our person at 30,000 feet. I'm a daddy, I'm a husband, and I'm a business guy, and I'm working day to day, and I don't have time to keep up with everything. And this is how we use you. Frankly, we listen to you, and you are our view at 30,000 feet. So you give us some perspective so that we can discern which way to go and what to do.
What would we do? How ignorant would we be if we didn't have Point of View? And come on, guys, give something to Point of View to make sure we don't lose this wonderful voice.
I love that. Come on, guys. That's what you've been saying, Brad.
Right.
Come on, guys.
Let's go. Listen, we've got about 5 open lines right now, if I count right. And so there's opportunity for you to call and be a part of the match. $4,000 match.
Yes.
Every dollar you give is doubled. You give $100 becomes $200. Your $1,000 becomes $2,000. And so let's get this thing cleared up in the next 5 minutes. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. Please don't expect someone else to do it, because that's the wrong thinking. That's thinking from the pit. And so we ask you to stand with us. We are listener-supported radio, and we are a unique program that is just so exciting to be a part of, and you will be excited too as you give.
Well, we just need to hear from you right now. And again, we have been doing this for decades, and in just a minute we're going to be talking with Rebecca Hagelin, who actually really credits a great deal of her understanding of Christian worldview simply by listening to Point of View.
That's great.
If you value that, we certainly encourage you to give us a call right now. We need to clean this up. 800-347-5151, $4,000 on the table. We need 5 calls, and we need to hear from you right now. Pointofview.net or 1-800-347-5151.
The end of the book of Jonah is really strange. God said there were 120,000 people in Nineveh who didn't know their right hand from their left. And yet today in America, many of our major corporations and politicians are fighting a war to permit men to use women's showers and bathrooms. Once you deny God as the measure of all things, you can't even recognize the most basic realities. America is in a battle for its sanity and survival. We need strong voices to tell the truth. We need Point of View. Become a partner in this important mission of speaking truth in love. Please, today is the day. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net. Choose your giving level. We've had a great start to this important week, and we need to keep it rolling. Take that step, pointofview.net, or call 800-347-5151. Join the Truth Team today, pointofview.net, or call 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
I just thank God for y'all. I listen to you every day, truly. I wanted to thank y'all for everything you do each day to inform Christian families and our community about the things we can do, and just the way you're so informative. I listen to you daily and love you guys and appreciate you so much.
God bless you, Kerby, for keeping this show so on track and for the decades of wonderful help to this nation that Point of View has been. We're all big fans of your work, and we pray that God will just prosper it.
As a Christian, over the years that I've followed this program, I am constantly challenged to be on guard and to evaluate what's going on. And if for no other reason, to protect the caliber and the truth of your programming, I need to participate and to back your program financially to ensure that the truth stays out there for people to hear, to view, and to be a part of.
This is Point of View Radio.
Hi, this is Kerby Anderson. You know, each day we take on the tough issues and provide a biblical perspective to them. The topics we cover are wide-ranging: apologetics, theology, prophecy, creation and evolution, intelligent design, marriage, family, child-rearing, the millennial generation, trends in society, politics, economics, business, religious liberty, the Constitution, public policy, foreign policy, military policy, tensions in the Middle East, abortion, homosexuality, pornography, sexual ethics, media, technology, history, and America's godly heritage. We talk about anything that affects your faith, your family, or your freedom. So don't go anywhere, because Point of View continues right now.
Across America, live. This is Point of View. And now, Kerby Anderson.
Third day of our Truth Team 360, and in studio with me, Brad Fisk. And if you're just joining us, we are excited that you have taken the time to listen to us today. We're going to be talking about what happens here at Point of View and how you can be a part of what we do. The pledge line 800-347-5151. But Brad, give us an update on kind of where we are as people are listening.
Basically, we are in the middle of a match challenge right now. We have about 1,700 remaining to go of that original 4,000. And so every gift you give right now is doubled. 800-347-5151 is the simple way to do it. And in a few moments, we're going to talk a little bit Point of View first, but we'll come back and explain some thank you gifts that we're going to give to you as you give your pledge of support.
You know, we have a lot of people, Brad, that are listening to Point of View, and maybe you've been listening for some time, and we have a number of news stations, in large part because of your good work as well, and they may not really know the history. Marlon Maddox started it in 1972, went up on satellite in the early 1980s, really before there was a Rush Limbaugh or a Sean Hannity or anybody. He was up there using satellite technology, and I'd been involved with him for some time, and by the time, I guess it was 1986, I began to be a guest host and have been involved with him for many years, and I've seen the profound impact that this has had on the lives of individuals. In just a few minutes, we're going to talk with Rebecca Hagelin. She grew up listening to this. Matter of fact, when she was raising her kids, she was listening to Point of View every day, and that really equipped her to later become the vice president of the Heritage Foundation.
Wow, that's exciting.
An author whose new book is coming out tomorrow, and also a columnist whose column is on our website that came out. And I think about that, and another person that we had on earlier this week, Tim Wildman. Of course, he grew up in Don Wildman's household, so he knew a lot, but he used to listen to Point of View every single day when they were running the mimeograph machine. You're old enough to remember what a mimeograph machine is, you know, and it was going, he'd have it just blaring so that he could hear it. And Kelly Shackelford will be with us Friday, was influenced, but you go down this long list. Michelle Bachman, she actually started dating an individual who ended up being her husband, and they had a tradition that at the noontime hour, they would turn on Point of View and listen to it. They would actually have lunch late so they could listen to Marlon from 1 to 3. And so she grew up at the age of 19 listening to Point of View and has certainly credited a lot of what she has learned over the years from what she learned here on Point of View. And I remember the first time Penna Dexter and I interviewed her as just a concerned mom before she even was in the Minnesota legislature. Then the other day we had Jeremy Dyson here, and he said, you know, I actually listened to Point of View when my mom would pick us up on carpool. I was in the back seat, and we had to kind of listen to it. And he said, well, I think the first time I was listening to it was in the 4th grade, which made me feel really old. But here you've got a guy that's on Fox News, and he goes all the way back to the influence of Point of View. Rodney Hare, we've had him on before, talking about the fact he started a Christian school that Warren Kelly, the president of Point of View, his kids went to, and he listened to Point of View and began this Christian school because of that.
Think about this, another angle of the legacy. All these people you've mentioned, but think of the countless thousands of people that have given up financially over these past 3+ decades to keep this program on the air. So thank you to all of you in the past who have made today possible, because without that sacrificial giving before, we wouldn't be here today.
That's right.
But guess what? Without sacrificial giving now, we will not be here tomorrow.
Yes.
Because we are listener supported.
Terrific.
So we really do need to hear from you right now. And by the way, the Truth Team, that's $1 a day or more, You can give at $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 for the year. And we have a very special gift this time around. I think it's the best gift we've ever had as a welcome gift to the Truth Team. It is a Bible stick from Faith Comes by Hearing. It's an MP3 player, and it fits in the palm of your hand. It's very small, fits in a shirt pocket, in whatever, and it has the entire New Testament preloaded. It's the ESV version. It's dramatized with music, sound effects. It is word for word. It is the Bible, the Word of God. And I'm thinking, you may not be too excited about it, but how about a young person who's used to the electronic devices, the gizmos? And how about getting a gift for them, for that graduate coming up, for that couple that maybe that's getting married in June? It'd make a great gift. But that is a free gift to you that we want to just say thank you. Welcome to the Truth Team. A gift of $1 a day or more.
Well, again, we just need to hear from you right now because, as you pointed out, we do have that match on the table.
We do.
And I look over there at the individuals that are supposed to be answering the phone, and they're having a great chat, but we didn't bring them in here to interact with one another. We asked them to bring in today, and these are all volunteers taking their time away.
That's right.
And giving of their time and talent and treasure and ability to fund this ministry through both their actions and their finances, and we ask you to do the same. We're not asking you to volunteer and come and answer the phones. We're just asking you to come in, and if you can make a pledge, and again, it is a pledge. We're not asking that you have all the money in your hand right now.
That's right.
That's why we call it a pledge line, 800-347-5151. And we really do need to hear from some of you because, as you pointed out before, Brad, so many times, if somebody came in and said, here's $4,000, I'll set it on the table, and if you take it, you get to keep it. But if you walk out the room, I get to keep it.
That's right.
And
so we can't let this money sit around. We can't do that. Please, for any other reason, give us a call because every dollar you give will be matched. And let's hear from some other listeners if we can for a minute. We've got a montage all set up for you, and let's hear what they have to say.
We'll get to it in just a minute. There we go.
I consider Point of View the most important Christian radio station I listen to. I mean, I'm addicted to it and I love it, and I've listened to it for years.
God bless you, Kerby, for keeping this show so on track and for the decades of wonderful help to this nation that Point of View has been. We're all big fans of your work, and we pray that God will just prosper it.
I just appreciate all you guys do. I mean, I learned so much, and it's amazing what you teach that I say to other people, and they look at me like, where did you hear that? So I appreciate you guys. So thank you for all you do.
I am just so thankful for you, Kerby, and people whom God has lifted up in these last days. You are our source of, one of our sources of strength. Of course, the Lord is our first, but I just want to thank you and just ask that God would bless you.
I want to just let you know how much I appreciate just getting the truth out.
Great opportunity for you to participate right now. 1-800-347-5151. Have operators standing by, as we like to say every once in a while, and they are literally standing by so that they can take your phone call, and it's very quick indeed. So just take a few minutes if you would certainly want to talk to someone. That number, 800-347-5151. I've noticed, Brad, a number of people have said, well, I can really take care of it very easily by just going to the website.
That's right.
pointofview.net. Click on that button there. It says Join the Truth Team. And that gives you an opportunity to see some of the welcome gifts that we are making available to you. That Bible stick, which you are so excited about, and I think everybody will be once they get a chance to see that they have the entire New Testament on something about the size of a pack of gum, if you will.
That's right.
If you remember what pack of gums look like, now they have them in different formats here. And it's in the ESV version, and it has music, sound effects, and all sorts of voices. But at the higher levels, if you would like to give $65 a month. You can choose either that or our Tumblr and journal set, and we can see that on the website, but I've also held it up from time to time for people to see it if they're watching online. And, of course, at the $100 level, you can receive both of those if you'd like.
Right. And every dollar you give will be doubled. Doubled. You get that?
Doubled, yes.
Okay, we don't want to leave that money on the table. Hey, here's the phone number, and we have a guest coming up.
Yes, we do. Rebecca Hagelin coming up, but just before we do so, when to hear you call right now, and this is a great opportunity while we go to a break, 1-800-347-5151. We need to hear from you. We need 5 more people to join with us. Let's take a break. 1-800-347-5151. We'll be back right after this.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
Yesterday, I talked about corporate bullies that have been threatening boycotts in order to get states like Georgia, North Carolina, and Mississippi to veto legislation they believe is discriminatory. Anyone who would take the time to read some of the laws would see that that is not the case. Rarely is any of the bill cited, and often when it is, that section of the bill is taken out of context. So why are these corporations taking time away from producing products or promoting their services to get involved in the political process? Well, the answer is that many in the leadership believe that it is their responsibility to promote social justice. They will continue to bully and boycott because it reflects the progressive social values they embrace. So why do they embrace such liberal values? Well, David French, in a recent article on the progressive corporate culture, explains it this way. He says Apple, Disney, and PayPal fish from the same cultural and academic pond as the elite media and elite universities. He says that when he was at Harvard Law School, these corporations recruited many of these progressive-minded classmates. So how should we as Christians respond? Many of my listeners have talked about boycotts. That probably won't be too successful when you think about the various products and services involved. David French observes that progressive corporate culture is so pervasive that the consistent conservative boycotter would have to retreat from modernity. Sure, it might be possible to stop going to Disney movies and to Disneyland and Disney World. It would be much harder to avoid every smartphone, computer, and operating system. That is why we must take a stand and express our opinions. Progressive bullies cannot win on the merits of the debate. That is why they call people names and call for boycotts. We can win in the war of ideas and need to do so. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
For more information about issues covered on Viewpoints, visit pointofview.net. Pointofview.net. Point of View, Truth Team 360. Matt Staver.
We often take for granted the fact that we have good voices and information coming from ministries like Point of View. But I know, having traveled around the world, when I want to get good news about what's happening in our country or what's happening around the world, that news is just simply not there. Or if it's there, it's coming from a very slanted, very radical, left-leaning, anti-Judeo-Christian perspective. News that you really can't trust. So I think it's critically important that we support Point of View because it is doing a tremendous ministry here in this country. And if we don't support it, that ministry will ultimately lose its voice. That would be a critical absence that would clearly affect our Christian communities. It's absolutely critical that we support Point of View.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Matt Staver talking about the value of supporting Point of View, and it is our Truth Team 360. Brad Fisk in studio with us, and we do need to hear from you. 1-800-347-5151. We still have that $4,000 match on the table. We were supposed to get that one taken care of to get to the next one.
That's right. That's right. But it's whittled down. We have about 1,700 to go last time I checked.
Good.
And so we got a little bit to go. But listen, don't just assume someone else is going to do that because we don't get to put that in our total.
That's right.
Until it's matched. So we need those funds, folks, to get into our total. So give us a call, 800-347-5151.
You know, in the first hour, we did talk about the importance of truth, and we're going to continue that, but also talk about how it's important to protect our families.
Yes.
And I am just so thrilled to bring to the microphone now Rebecca Hagelin, who's been listening to the program for quite some time. I won't say how many years, because then people start figuring out how old she is, but I mean, we're talking decades here. An individual that later then, of course, served as the vice president of the Heritage Foundation, currently now as the secretary of the Council for National Policy, Council for National Policy, and also, of course, has written a number of books. Home Invasion, Protecting Your Family in a Culture That's Gone Stark Raving Mad. Brad, you believe that?
I sure do, absolutely.
And a book coming out tomorrow, 30 Ways in 30 Days to Strengthen Your Family. Rebecca Hagelin, always great to have you on the program.
Oh, you know, it's like coming home every time I'm on the show with you, Kerby, right? Because it has been a long time that I've been a supporter of Point of View. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. 30 years.
30 years.
That's awesome.
Yep.
30 years.
Yep. You know, as a young newlywed living in Houston, Texas, I moved there because my husband was in the Navy and was teaching celestial navigation and naval sciences at Rice University. But I moved away from D.C., where I had been involved in politics for a while. And I kind of felt like Houston was a little bit of a desert experience for me. I loved being married to my husband, but that was new for me. I left being involved in politics in the national field behind, and I discovered Point of View. And Point of View provided everything I needed to really nourish me at that time in my life. It was always on the cutting edge of what was going on politically, because from Marlon Maddox and Mary Maddox and their beautiful family to you, to everybody else involved in Point of View, we know that we as Americans have a great treasure in the freedom and the Judeo-Christian values upon which our country was founded. And we know that when we get away from those values, government can become obtrusive, and it starts interfering with our religious freedom and our parental rights and our free speech. And so it's very important for Christians to know what's going on in our government and to be involved in that. And I always found that Point of View was a great place to go for truthful information. And then, of course, as a newlywed and now having been married for over 30 years, Point of View is also a great resource to go to for spiritual and family help. And so it remains a vital part of our lives, and certainly in my personal work in trying to help families strengthen their relationships with each other as well.
I might just mention that we posted your piece that came out in Town Hall just recently, The Intersection of Faith, Family, and Freedom, and a very similar edition of that came out today in the Washington Times on family. But let me also mention your book coming out, 30 Ways in 30 Days to Strengthen Your Family. We are really concerned about this toxic culture our children are in, and this new book that you have coming out tomorrow by David C. Cook is one that I hope our listeners will take advantage of. But talk about how we on this program really try to help us protect our children and grandchildren from some of the dangers out there.
Well, you know what, Kerby, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about that because it's near and dear to my heart. And the summation point is this. God gave little babies to moms and dads for a reason. He gave babies to adults, to people who would have in their hearts love untold for that child for a reason. And I encourage moms and dads, don't try to be your child's best friend. They don't need another drifting peer. They need you to stand up and be their mom and dad, to be the one who protects your children like a mother bear rises up to protect her cubs. So I have a lot of practical advice in the book, everything from how to be the parent, not your child's best friend, to, how to keep your kids safe online, to chapters on how to help them deal with peer pressure, by learning to deal with peer pressure yourself and sharing those stories with your children. So the goal of my heart is that I might support parents in their effort to do what Scripture calls us to do, which is God gave children to parents for one reason, and that's so we can raise godly children. And so I tried to look at the top 30 ways that parents feel challenged by the culture and provide individual chapters that, they can read in any order according to what the issue is they're struggling with at home, go right for practical help and strength. And, the book does hit the bookstores this weekend, but it's also already available even online right now in case people want to order it as a Mother's Day gift. And the reason I say that is because I talk to moms every day through all of my writing, through my internet work, through traveling the country, and good, decent moms are looking for help. They're looking for allies who will help them stand up for what's true and what's right, that will tell them how to challenge their children to be stronger without alienating their children. And so I try to do this in this book, and it's really the cry of my heart to help as many moms as possible.
Let me just encourage you that if you appreciate some of the information that we give to you on a regular basis about how to protect your children and grandchildren from this toxic culture, we really do need to hear from you right now. 1-800-347-5151. I think of the book by Dr. Kathy Cook on screens and teens and all the dangers that are coming there. Yep. This book by Rebecca Hagelin, 30 Ways in 30 Days to Strengthen Your Family, basically to protect your family. And when I think of your 9 children and your 21 grandchildren, this is the kind of book you want to put in the hands of your children who are raising your grandchildren.
It is. That's right. In fact, early on, I was actually instructed in saying, don't think that you're raising your children, but you're really raising your grandchildren. As your children follow the Lord and grow up and start having kids, well, what are they teaching the grandkids?
Yes.
And we've seen that in play in our family. So thank you for writing that book and for providing yet another resource that we can go to, because it's so important. I mean, like you say, we're being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to redefine everything, marriage and everything else. They're going to try to redefine families too. And we just can't let that happen.
Absolutely. And, it's another really good reason why people need to continue supporting Point of View, because as parents and grandparents, it's not enough for us to go hear a sermon once a week on how to stand for righteousness in our families and in the culture. We have to be reading materials every day that support that worldview. We have to be listening to the programs like Point of View every day to give us information and strength and encouragement, because ours is a 24/7 battle. The people who would seek to do our children wrong and lead them astray in the media culture, they don't rest.
That's right.
They're constantly devising 24/7 new ways to get our children hooked on pornography, to have our children believe that there's no God, that they're just here by accident. So ours has to be a constant vigil too. And we have to be active. And we have to surround ourselves with good materials and joy and encouragement every minute of every day. So reading the right books, listening to shows like Point of View, watching good, decent movies, finding friends that you meet with to encourage each other.
That's right, Rebecca. You know what? I think, Rebecca, that there's actually at least 1,000, if not 2,000 parents and grandparents listening right now that could jump on the phone and give us a call. We're coming up on a break, so let me give the phone number. We'll be back with you, okay?
Yeah.
It's 800-347-5151. Call right now during the break. Rebecca will be back. 800-347-5151.
We need to hear from you right now. 800-347-5151. Rebecca Hagelin, 30 Ways in 30 Days to Strengthen Your Family. We'll talk more with her right after this.
This is an incredibly important week for Point of View. We need to build our war chest to get us through the election season. This week, we need you to step up and join the team. Just as a political campaign cannot get its message out without donor support, Point of View must have friends like you as we head into the final leg of this presidential race. Imagine Hillary Clinton in the White House. Think of what justices she would nominate to the Supreme Court. The next president is likely going to shape our highest court for several decades, and Point of View wants to provide a biblical perspective of all of the issues in this year's campaign. But we cannot do it, we simply can't, without you. Please step up now as a monthly partner. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net and choose your level. Stretch a bit or call 1-800-347-5151. Pointofview.net and 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again is Kerby Anderson.
Truth Team 360, Brad Fisk in studio, Rebecca Hagelin by phone. And for just a few minutes, let's remind people where we are. We have that match on the table right now.
It started last hour. $4,000 match has been whittled down to $420, Kerby. So we can get that whole match put into the total with your gift. Right? One person joining as a Club 360 member, that's $360 for the year. Another one giving $110. Boom, got it done.
That's
and
right.
Guess what?
Then we have another one.
There's another match behind it.
That's right.
So we can't release the other match, though, until this one gets done. So it's really important if you would call right now at 800-347-5151, 800-347-5151, so we can get that other match going before the end of the hour. That would be we'd be very grateful for that. And again, what we're doing here, you guys, it's a week of stepping alongside and joining the financial team of Point of View. We know that the majority of you listening right now have never given financially to the ministry. You have been we have people telling us they've been listening for 20 years and they've never given a gift. And that we understand that. But could you just go ahead and break your rule and give us a call and join us financially? 800-347-5151. You can also give online at pointofview.net.
Well, again, Rebecca Hagelin with us, and we've posted her piece, The Intersection of Faith, Family, and Freedom, that came out just a few days ago in Town Hall. And, of course, we also have one that is very similar to that is in today's Washington Times. Also want to talk about her book, as we have, A Guide to Parenting in Today's Toxic Culture, 30 Ways in 30 Days to Strengthen Your Family. Rebecca, though, we did talk about the political issue just a little bit when we were talking about the fact you've been listening to Point of View for 30 years. We're in the midst of a political campaign, and yesterday we saw two individuals get a lot closer to winning the nomination. And the first of those is Hillary Clinton won 4 out of those 5 primaries. Bernie Sanders wins in Rhode Island. Can you maybe give us a what if? This is something we've been talking about this week. What if we have a President Hillary Clinton? What does the nation look like, and what does the political environment look like?
Well, with President Hillary Clinton, we can count on our religious freedoms being further eroded. We can count on our free speech rights being further eroded. We can count on paying more in taxes, getting less in quality services. We can count on being in danger on the world stage. I mean, I hate to be so blunt with people, but if Hillary Clinton is the president of the United States, it will be far worse than even the Obama presidency.
Really?
Wow. Yes, I remember, oh my goodness, it's been quite a while now. I went to an event at the White House, and, there are portraits of first ladies all over the White House and portraits of presidents, obviously. But when I saw the portrait of Hillary Clinton, it made my blood run cold in my veins. It was a huge picture. It was probably 4 feet tall. It was a portrait of Hillary Clinton about from the knees up, standing beside a table with her hand resting gently on the table, and painted into the photograph on that table with her book, It Takes a Village.
Oh, boy.
And that book is all about socialist programs. It's all about taking a socialistic approach to the country and everything from child rearing to health care to education. And she had it purposely painted in her book for a reason. That's because that is how she would govern as president. Mm-hmm. So if anybody doubts me, what I'm saying, I would encourage you to look at reviews of her book. Don't buy her book because we don't want to put more money in her pocket. But we do want to know what is at stake here. And so it's very critical that everybody get involved in this political election. And, I don't know how political you want me to get here, but until you stop me and tell me to be quiet, Kerby,
can I interrupt you for a second? Speaking of stopping, we just have some exciting news. We made the $4,000 match just now.
Praise God.
And that's awesome. So now, listen, here's what happened. A group of donors have gotten together and made another $4,000 available, but we have only until the top of the hour to get that done. And so that would be some people giving at $1,000, single gift. That would be several of you giving at that $360 right now.
We'll need some big gifts if we're going to reach that in 20 minutes.
In 20 minutes to go, $4,000 on the table at risk. Every dollar you give releases one of those $4,000 back into our total. So please give us a call right now. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. And I get ice in my veins, too, when I think of President Clinton being in the White House.
Yes. Well, and I remember the first interview that we ever did with Penna Dexter, more than 20 years ago, was on that book, It Takes a Village.
That's right.
And so, again, I think, Rebecca, you're reminding us of Obamacare, but before there was Obamacare, there was Hillary Care, the whole idea of it takes a village to raise a child. In some respects, she wants to move as far, and if not further, than Barack Obama. Isn't that fair?
Oh, she certainly does. She's far more liberal and socialist than her husband ever was. And, people who are listening right now, if you care about the country and you care about getting timely information, I just want to segue here to also to encourage people to donate to Point of View right now to meet that goal. Because if you've gotten any help from Point of View at all, if you feel like there's ever been any aspect of your life that you felt encouraged or you received information you didn't know before from Point of View, it's time to pick up the phone and be part of the family and to say, you know what, I'm going to pay the way forward. I'm going to help support Point of View so other families can be helped like I've been helped.
Thank you,
I would
Rebecca.
encourage people to call as well. And, I would like for you to give that phone number out one more time if you don't mind.
It's 800-347-5151. It's toll free, 800-347-5151.
And again, Rebecca, we only have a few minutes, and I would like to do an entire interview with you, obviously, on your new book, 30 Ways in 30 Days to Strengthen Your Family. And this was something that we thought would be good to announce since it's coming out tomorrow. And it'll be in the bookstores shortly, and we'll have a link on our website. And so that's, again, a way in which people can find out about books and articles and other resources. I've had people, Rebecca, tell us that I would have no idea about all the problems in our society, all the dangers our kids are facing, if it weren't for the fact that I listen to Point of View and to listen to people like you when you're on Point of View.
Yep, and I'll tell you what, it's been my consistent connection. Point of View has been my consistent stream of information for all the things I call about and all the things we're called to do as Christians. So thanks so much for having me on for all that you guys do.
We'll come back and we'll talk about all those dangers our kids and our grandkids are facing and how she has done such a great job of really helping us understand how to put up some barriers, some boundaries, some protections so that our kids are not going to fall into some of the dangers of our toxic culture. So, Rebecca Hagelin, always great to have you on the program. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Let me just mention, we have her article there. We have information about the book, 30 Ways in 30 Days to Strengthen Your Family. But we have a match on the table, and it's a new match. So we took care of 4,000. We have 4,000 more. And I'm looking at the clock and saying, I'm not sure. I have a lot of faith, but I also recognize that faith is based upon a few of you listeners could really help us meet that by the top of the hour.
And remember, you don't have to have the money in hand right now. That's a common misnomer. And so it's really a pledge of support for the coming year. So you might be able to break that down, $100 a month, whatever it maths out to be.
That would be good. Yeah.
That's another way you can do that. And you don't have to have the money in hand right now. But again, it takes givers of all sizes. You're thinking right now, I can only give $10 so they don't need my gift because they're asking for $1,000. Not true. Not even close to true. It's not the amount. It's the gift. It's the full participation. Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's everybody doing their part to be a part of this team and helping us stand strong. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just open your eyes a little bit, we are headed into a most incredible upside-down world that I just can't believe is happening before my eyes. And I just think of where we were 20 years ago and where we are now, Kerby. This is absurd. we're dealing with issues that we have no business dealing with. But Point of View is right there. You're watching my back is what you're doing. 800-347-5151. If you want us to continue to watch your back, watch your family's back, then would you please give us a gift of support? 800-347-5151.
Covering issues a lot of people are not covering, and giving you an opportunity to hear today from Robert Knight and Rebecca Hagelin. I'll ask you, how many times have you heard either of those guests on any other program, television, radio, whatever, but you get to hear them right here on Point of View. So again, we have at least one open line, I guess one, and maybe another one soon, so give us a call right now. 1-800-347-5151, or the website is pointofview.net. We have a lot more to cover. We'll do that right after this.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Michael Craven.
I think it's very much as C.S. Lewis once said when he wrote, good philosophy must exist if for no other reason because bad philosophy needs to be answered. And this is what I think Point of View does so extremely well. It offers a public forum where intelligent, rational, reasonable discourse can occur in regard to the prevailing issues of our day. And the church is in desperate need of this kind of insight and understanding and awareness. And Point of View provides just that.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
Michael Craven. And again, we have a second match on the table
We
of
do
$4,000. How are we doing, Brad?
Well, we've already carved out about $700 of that, so we still have $3,300 to go before the top of the hour when the match expires. Okay. So we need you to give us a call right now. I don't want to leave that money on the table. We could sure use it in the total. 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. It'll really make a difference. Those of you who could give a larger gift, a $500 gift, a $1,000 gift, boy, this would be a great strategic time to do it because it'll be matched dollar for dollar. It's like releasing that money. Thanks to Deborah, Sheila, Linda, Velma, to Linda, to Peggy and Carol and Donna and Suzanne and Barbara. Thank you, thank you, thank you. These are just a few of the people who have been calling in the last about 45 minutes or so. So here's the phone number. We're going to hear from some listeners to see what they think about Point of View. 800-347-5151.
Here's what the listeners of Point of View had to say.
I just wanted to tell you, too, how much I have appreciated Point of View over the years, and it has caused me over time to call my representatives and take action that I would never have had the knowledge to do before. I've always been taught that we take care of our own, and I feel like Point of View is one of our own because of the Christian worldview that you do promote. And so I have become a partner today, and I just want to thank you so much, and just God bless you for all that you do.
I have listened to Point of View for a number of years, and since I've been retired, I listen daily, and I decided that you guys were worthy of my giving, and I chose to donate the money monthly so that it would be a part of my monthly giving. Point of View is a very unique ministry and gives us a Christian perspective. I really admire and respect you. You show so much love and affection and interest and care for your callers, and that impressed me too.
I've listened to Point of View for years. Boy, I can't afford not to support you. Point of View gives me a voice, and I just appreciate you. And I've been here listening for years, right from the beginning. So I thank you, and I do. Again, I said I can't afford not to support you because I want you to keep going.
Kerby, you're one of the only ones out there that I can really trust because I really feel like you and your staff do a good job researching and getting the facts that you lay out there before us, because I know that you answer to a higher power, God, and he holds you accountable to what you do. And so I appreciate the fact that we can hold you accountable, and you basically prove yourself every time.
Again, just a great opportunity for you to participate. And as we've said before, membership has its privileges, and one of those privileges is our welcome gift to you is the MP3 Bible Stick. And
That's
Brad,
right.
That is just a great way to get God's Word into your heart because it has the entire New Testament ESV version, music, sound effects, all sorts of voices.
Totally dramatized. And it's word for word. Okay, you guys, it'll fit in the palm of your hand. It has a battery. It has headphones. It would make a wonderful gift. If it's not for you, something you would not enjoy, hey, you know what? We can never get enough of God's Word because you want to talk about truth?
That's
truth
where it
with a capital
comes
T
from.
is the Bible. That is our entire basis for doing what we do on Point of View. Always has been, always will be. Hey, I want to say a thank you to Linda for this comment. Very favorite program on radio, very well done. And her church actually put up a radio tower to be able to pull in Point of View, the station that they have there. So God bless you. Match update. Are you ready?
Okay. Drum roll.
Started with $4,000 about 20 minutes ago. Okay, we are down to $2,025 left to go.
Okay,
and we will have that entire $4,000 in the bank. So listen, we got 5 minutes.
5 minutes is all.
5 minutes is it, and so we're asking you to please give your very best gift right now. You've been listening to Point of View for a long time. Did you know that 9 out of 10 of you listening right now have never given financially to the radio, to this program? And this is an opportunity. Try it on. Free trial, okay, not free, but $360 for the year. That's $1 a day.
Yes, you can come up with that.
Absolutely. And we're happy to give you the Bible Stick as a free thank you gift. But what's more important is you're going to help us continue to do what we're doing. And it's all the friends who stood before us in the past. It's now your turn, and your turn, and your turn. 800-347-5151. It's toll free, 800-347-5151. or online too.
And you might have called just a minute ago and been in queue or might have gotten a busy signal, and I actually see some lines opened up. So this is a great time for you to call.
You'll get straight in.
You've been waiting. Don't wait any longer. Give us a call right now, 800-347-5151.
I have a sense, Kerby, there are two people out there that could do $1,000 each.
That would help us.
I really believe there's people. I know people can do that.
I know.
And I'm constantly surprised, but I shouldn't be, because that's the way our God works.
Yes.
Okay, and I know He wants to bless what we do because we want to stand in obedience to Him, bringing Him the truth with a capital T.
Well, again, we are excited about this opportunity, but again, don't want to leave even that $2,000 on the table, right? And I really hope that we can get to that because we had to wait a little bit longer before we started the second match.
That's right.
Never seen that before. 4,000, we took care of that. Another 4,000, we're about ready to take care of that. Don't you think that's going to happen in the next few minutes?
Yeah. Father, I pray right now that You'll move on the hearts of our listeners, and Father, that You will be faithful in providing for us as You have been for almost over 3 decades. Thank You, Father, very much for Your goodness and Your love and mercy. Amen.
You know, tomorrow we got Matt Staver on, and we heard from him
That's
just a
cool.
minute
like
about. But all that was, remember, he was standing with that woman in Kentucky that stood up for marriage.
Yes.
Then we have Frank Turek, and he's the one that actually spoke in front of the Capitol there about what has been happening in North Carolina. So we're going to come back to this issue that we have certainly been focusing on this week because of all the things happening in places like North Carolina and Georgia, Mississippi, and on and on. So if you value the kind of information that you're getting here, and maybe only here,
that's right,
and hearing some of the guests that you hear only here on Point of View, please give us a call right now, 800-347-5151, covering topics that certainly need to be covered, giving you a Christian worldview and wanting to encourage and empower you and to equip you to be more effective in your Christian walk as well.
Now, if you get a busy signal, here's what you can do. We're going to be going off in just a few moments. You can go to pointofview.net and you can give that way. And the phones will be open. The match will be open until about 10 after because we want to give everybody a chance to get in.
Right.
Because the phones might be loaded right now.
All the lines are full.
So here we go. 800-347-5151. Write that number down. 800-347-5151. We are just over $2,000 to go to have the entire $8,000 for the day loaded into the total and setting us up for the downhill run for the rest of the week. Do be praying for us, won't you, as you think about Point of View?
Sure. Thank you for praying for us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. 800-347-5151.
And I do notice that all the lines seem to be filling up. So if you do get a busy signal or you're in queue, just wait a little bit. And even though we're going to go off the air in less than a minute, okay, you can still give us a call and we'll still be here. So that is a great opportunity. We're looking forward to, of course, a great program tomorrow. Matt Staver, my goodness, all the religious liberty issues. Frank Turek telling us how to make the case for marriage, and I think you're going to benefit from that. And all through the week, we've had a chance to hear from some great guests. But just one more time, let's give that number, 800-347-5151. If you go to the website, pointofview.net, you can find more information from Robert Knight and Rebecca Hagelin. But most importantly, you can click on that button that says Join the Truth Team. We need a few more of you to join with us, and if you can't get through on the line, you can certainly find us online. And so I want to thank Andrew, Catherine, and Shamila for their help behind the scenes.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to the fourth day of Truth Team 360 tomorrow. We'll see you then.
The end of the book of Jonah is really strange. God said there were 120,000 people in Nineveh who didn't know their right hand from their left. And yet today in America, many of our major corporations and politicians are fighting a war to permit men to use women's showers and bathrooms. Once you deny God as the measure of all things, you can't even recognize the most basic realities. America is in a battle for its sanity and survival. We need strong voices to tell the truth. We need Point of View. Become a partner in this important mission of speaking truth in love. Please, today is the day. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net. Choose your giving level. We've had a great start to this important week, and we need to keep it rolling. Take that step, pointofview.net, or call 800-347-5151. Join the Truth Team today, pointofview.net, or call 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. Point of View is produced by Point of View Ministries.